Hello once again, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of Ballbuster Video. This time on the show, we got me, Matt, as always, and
Fred.
Cody.
And Cody's here. So, what are we talking about this week?
This week, we had a request from Will.
Love him so much for this.
We watched and suffered through Ryan Reynolds as the Green Lantern.
Yep.
So I'm going to get to my rating of this movie already.
You're just going to do it right off the bat.
And I'm scoring this we should have watched Ernest go to jail. Out of 10.
Yeah, but you see, you can't talk shit on that movie because it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I love Ernest Goes to Jail.
I know, and that's why we should have watched it instead.
Well, this we were reviewing movies that are terrible.
Yeah.
And then on another moment, I was on pain pills because I just had a thumb surgery. So the things I may say about this movie may not have happened in the actual movie. So I do apologize ahead of time.
It's understandable. You probably had a better experience because you were on them.
Most likely.
All I can say is, like, when it started, they're giving you the narration of, like, how they trap Parallax. And then they go, like, they show those, I guess they were lanterns that went there to go see him, like, I guess to check on him or whatever.
I don't think they were. I think they were just, their spaceship got stranded.
Yeah. Okay, so it was just three random dudes.
Yeah.
They find him, which is like, why wouldn't you have sealed this off with some boulders or something? Like, you go through the trouble of trapping this guy on a foreign planet, and then you leave this giant hole wide open.
Yeah, one of the many ridiculous things with this movie. Because the one Green Lantern is just circling the whole galaxy, patrolling it. The purple guy.
And he's the most powerful lantern out of the entire Corps, and he needs a spaceship to fly around through space. When they show them all multiple times just flying through space without a spaceship.
That's true. The thing
I guess he covers such a wider area than the rest that it's probably a little bit too tiring for him just to fly around the galaxy.
Nope, lazy writing.
Yeah, because Ryan Reynolds does it. Because Ryan Reynolds takes his place and he just flies around.
He is just the worst human being.
He wasn't even completely trained as a
guy either.
He is just the worst human being. I hate Ryan Reynolds. And as soon as I was told about Green Lantern, the first thing I asked Fred was, "Is this the Ryan Reynolds version?" Yes, and he said yes. And I went, "Why? Why are we not watching Ernest Goes to Jail instead?"
Well, so the three astronaut guys, they find him.
Yep.
And it just took the fear from these three guys to give him enough strength to break out of his Jello mold prison.
Yes.
That was it. Like, that's a horrible contingency plan.
Yeah.
It's just like,
they should have had another layer of Jello.
Yeah.
Another layer of Jello.
I just don't understand. Like, it's like, so if it's just three guys, that's all he needs to just break out of this, and that's it.
Yes. Now I'll be honest with you up front. I'll be honest with you. I might have suffered a little more than you guys because I watched the Green Lantern extended version.
You know, okay, I rented this off of Xbox Live, and I saw there was like the standard and then the extended, and I said, fuck no to the extended version. Yeah. I don't need to know, I don't need to see any more of this director's vision of how this movie was supposed to be.
I saw it, and I said the words, and I quote, "absolutely not," and I moved back over to the regular version, and
I'm watching this regular, I'm not even paying for HD, I'm seeing this standard-ass version.
I did not pay the extra dollar.
I watched Blu-ray extended version.
I'm so sorry.
Which I didn't include too much extra. I think it included some extra scenes when he's a little kid right before his fucking stupid father dies.
Which doesn't add anything to the story.
Which I just didn't understand. It's like what the hell happened?
The thing that I think is funny is that
they don't explain that. His jet blows up.
Yeah, well, yeah, and this scars this kid for life, and the Air Force still thinks it's okay to let this guy train as an air pilot.
Sure,
why not?
Yeah, he passed
because
psychology exams and
that's what that whole section where they're in that dogfight, like, to show what those airplanes that this company made, which that never goes anywhere farther than that scene anyway. Like,
it does, because later on the secretary comes up to him when he comes to her when they're sitting on the gazebo at one stage, and she's like, "Oh, Green Lantern, by the way, we bought the planes because they fixed their problem."
Okay, that must have been the part where I just stopped caring. I don't remember that. But so that scene happens, and he does that maneuver to like take them up to a higher atmosphere so they stall out, and then his plane stalls, and he's just having this flashback of his father exploding, like his plane exploding during a test run, and I'm like, they do psych exams on people before they just let them start flying these things, and they're like, oh no, this happened, he's having an episode again, and I'm like, so he's prone to having this, and he's still like your best pilot.
Let's talk about his asshole father here. His father's
asshole father.
His asshole father.
His father actually seemed like a very nice man in the flashback.
I agree.
He was like, son, I love you. Here's all this nice stuff. I'm a real nice dad to you.
Because if his father was still around, I don't think that,
I think his dad
would have had Ryan Reynolds actually take the position.
Yeah.
Because the dad would have been like, absolutely not.
Because if the dad was still around, that ring would have found his father and not him.
No, his father. No movie would have been made. We all would have been happier.
Yeah, his father was an asshole, and here's why. He's like sitting there, he's like, Dad, he's like, aren't you afraid of riding planes? He's like, I get paid not to be afraid, or something like that. Or he's like, I get paid not to be. And then he's like, I'm not afraid of anything. He's like, I'm your father. I'm a jet pilot. I'm not afraid of anything. And he's like in the plane, like he's about to get out of the plane right before it blows up. And he's got that look on his face like he's not afraid. Bullshit. If that was any person, I don't care who it is, and they're sitting in the plane and it's engulfed in flames and about to blow up, and he looks back at his son, he's like, look at me, I'm not afraid. That's not how it would be.
Well, that's not the only dad that was never afraid. I mean, Will Smith was never afraid in that After Earth movie. That's how the monsters never saw it.
Oh, shit. Don't be giving people ideas.
I thought it was funny, though, that, like, the dad of Ryan Reynolds' character in this movie looked exactly like Tony Stark's dad. He had, like, the chops and the mustache and everything. He looked just like him.
Doesn't he skip school, run to see his father, and his father is not like, hey, get to school. He's like, come watch me fly this plane. Who cares about school?
Just a quick thought. I think this movie would have been a lot better if they would have had Burt Reynolds as opposed to Ryan Reynolds.
God damn it!
I just thought about that.
The fucking ring finds him. He goes up there. It's like, who are you? Turd Ferguson. Yep.
That would have made me enjoy the movie quite a bit if it would have been Burt Reynolds instead of Ryan Reynolds.
Man, you can't knock Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds is...
They casted the wrong Reynolds. And then after they were just like, wait a second, this guy doesn't have black curly hair. I think you meant Burt Reynolds, sir. We got Ryan Reynolds. Oh, the hell with it. Bring him on.
I'm not a big... Now, do you like Ryan Reynolds, Matt?
No.
It depends what they put him in. Put it that way, because he can be a good actor. Did you ever see that movie where he was buried alive and it was just him? And that was a decent. That was a pretty good movie.
The one where they find the wrong. They find the wrong grave. He's like calling on like. He's like in the grave, and they find the wrong one at the end.
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. It was very claustrophobic. It made you feel for him.
I wish that was a documentary, and it really was buried, and they found the wrong grave.
God.
I just wish that they would have gotten Burt Reynolds. I'm standing by that to my grave.
So, then the one Green Lantern, the guy who got hurt.
Yes, the purple alien.
Yeah, because Parallax shot him. Mm-hmm. This is the one thing I don't know if a lot of people picked up on it or not watching it, but when Ryan Reynolds finds him, he's got the wound, and he puts his hand over that wound, right? And everything's fine. Later on in the movie, the scientist that comes in to do an autopsy on him touches the same place, and then gets infected with the fear power or whatever. Yes. So I'm like, okay, so he can touch it, he's fine. That does nothing to him.
But another, fucking shitty part of this movie. This is why this movie stinks. He fucking saves the alien. Which, by the way, am I the only one who questioned? All right, so the alien dies. Okay.
Yeah.
Government gets a hold of it.
Which the government doesn't show up to a UFO crash till hours later in the day.
Yes.
Because the alien crashed at night, but it was like a whole day transition went until Ryan Reynolds even found him.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, he was just laying there dying on a beach for an entire day, and then the government's like, well, we better just get on this. We've been fucking around long enough.
Yeah, well, the Green Lantern orb thing goes out. He's like, find someone who's capable of being a Green Lantern. And that green orb
who's worthy, a great responsibility comes great, fuck yourself.
And they find Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, and Ryan Reynolds who's having some sort of awkward conversation, a little creepy conversation with a little kid who's not his kid in his bedroom.
Yeah.
I won't go into the details there.
But I'm sure I've seen that scene on To Catch a Predator before.
But the green,
my God.
the green orb enters him, and he goes, "Ooh!" Like it enters him, and then he's walking out to his car, and a big green orb surrounds him and takes him to the alien. So, like, the alien's like, let him finish this weird, awkward conversation with this child. I'm just sitting here dying slowly before we bring him.
Very painfully and slowly dying.
So the government gets the alien, all right, and they bring in the weird skullet dude.
Which I just don't know.
The weird skullet guy who apparently was a friend of his.
Yeah.
From when they were kids, and he has a
I
crush.
probably blacked out.
Yeah, he has a crush on the love interest of Ryan Reynolds, played by one of the worst actresses I've ever seen in my life. Yes, I know there's people who listen to this who like love Fast and Furious and stuff. You know who you are, Blake Lively. You're gonna be, yeah, man, she's hot. She stinks at acting. She's absolutely horrible.
And if that's anything Hot Pursuit told us, you can be a hot actress but be terrible at acting.
Yes.
Agreed. Go on.
But anyway, so he's like got a crush on her, but because he doesn't have six-pack abs like Ryan Reynolds, and because he has a skullet.
Son of a bitch.
All because he has a skullet, and he has what appears to be a giant brain tumor later on.
Yeah.
That is protruding out of his skull.
I want to say this right off the bat, though. Tim Robbins plays his father.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he had to have been 13 when he had this kid, because this is like, his son looks just as old as he does. He's like, hey, son. I'm like, well, like, what? I was like, can you adopt somebody that old? Is that how that happened?
I don't think he's like his biological father. I think he found him like under like a highway underpass, like sleeping in an empty Pizza Hut box.
And that's still what
Pizza Hut box.
That's still when I'm taking him.
Must have been a deep dish pizza.
Yeah. But anyway, the government gets a hold of this alien. They bring it back.
Taking him.
Skullet, Dr. Skullet comes to look at the alien, and the alien, and this is kind of.
Oh God, are you gonna go here with this?
The alien, they show the alien naked, okay, and the alien, who's humanoid, and who is male, has no penis.
What's he needed for? He's patrolling the galaxy.
You don't think he's got to stop? He's going to stop off on some planet and tag something? Like, you got to tag something.
He's vigilant.
Navy men patrol the 7 seas, and they're every port they stop off at.
You're comparing Earth's oceans to the entire galaxy.
Oh, yes. I mean, he had no penis, and it's just kind of weirded me out.
He didn't. For what was going on, he didn't have to have a penis. It brought nothing else to the movie.
Maybe he tucked it like the person out of Silence of the Lambs.
Like the villain in Ace Ventura?
Yes.
Finkel and Einhorn?
Oh my God.
And just tucked it behind. Oh, like a hot dog.
So moving on from that.
Like a hot dog in the bun.
Yeah.
So, and then, so Ryan has the ring, and he gets confronted by 3 thugs that worked for that company,
Which
that
fired.
he destroyed the planes.
Okay.
And they worked for that company, so they ruined their entire lives. Like, they got laid off.
Yeah.
Wait a second. So that brings me back to what we talked about earlier with them talking at the gazebo, and she's like, "Oh, but Green Lantern, we got the contract." Then
The company went under.
Yeah. Yeah,
So they laid off people for just profit because they ended up getting the contract. So
then she's just a heartless ass bitch.
Yep. Yeah. And then he uses the ring to punch them with a green fist.
Yeah.
So he basically kills 3 people, because the one guy gets thrown for a brick wall, the other guy crashes into a car, and the one just disappears into a void of nothingness.
Yes.
As soon as I saw that giant green hand, I could only think of one thing, and that was the music video from Ludacris, when he has the 2 giant hands, and then he just walks through the entire music video punching shit with his giant hands.
Like, move, bitch, get
Exactly. With his giant ass hands.
God damn it.
That was all that I could think of as soon as he got the giant green fist, which comes later, and it was a good fisting later on in the movie.
Yeah. So then
and I use that term loosely.
This was one thing that got to me, is like, so the ring teleports him up to their planet, and he's learning all about the first thing he gets the suit for the first time, and it's like 45 minutes into the movie you finally see him as Green Lantern.
That is my biggest issue with this movie. We spend so you have roughly an hour and a half, 2 hours in a movie.
Yeah,
it's about roughly how much you have. How much you need to grab attention. To somebody. Not 45 minutes of waiting for the Green Lantern to show up, and we see a bunch of skeletons and thugs and big giant.
And then when you
fists.
finally see it, it's the worst costume you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible.
Like, they had to CG a mask. Like, how much fucking money were you saving on this movie by not just making a costume? You know, like, seriously.
Which just looks like somebody just painted over his eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. And he looked goddamn ridiculous.
How about the fact that, and Cody brought this up earlier, off the air, how about the fact that when he rescues, like, that senator at the party, and his mask covers, like, literally, like, 1/20th of it, like, his face.
Yeah.
Okay? And they don't know it's Ryan Reynolds with his perfect hair and his, like, six-pack abs and his, like, chiseled chin. He's just like, yeah, it's not me, I'm not Ryan Reynolds. Like, who is that?
Who's that? It's that guy that looks a lot like Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. But so like he gets his suit right, and then like the fish guy comes out to greet him, and then like Ryan knows about his species and like their entire history. He just spouts it off. He's like, "Why do I know this?" It's like, "Oh, the suit's giving you reflex memories from its prior owner," and then like. Well, let me explain the rest about the Green Lantern Corps to you. It's like, well, shouldn't he already fucking know this?
Yes. That's a very good point. Like, why the fuck did... And
he's asking him questions. He's like, well, what's with all the green? Like, what?
You're a Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Which the last time I checked, I thought the color of green was envy, but that's just me.
Yeah. But... Oh, God.
So, then, like... They Sinestro's giving his big speech about Parallax, like trying to take over the galaxy, and like there's millions, it's billions of Green Lanterns, right?
Yeah.
So then later, the movie skipping ahead a little bit, Sinestro takes a team of people out to try and stop Parallax, and it's like 12 of them. I'm like, I'm sorry. Why wouldn't you even just take 1 million out of the billions of Green Lanterns to try and take this guy out? Why 12? And why do you try and stop him with just a net?
Yes.
It's a giant floating galactic fart with a face, and you're trying to stop it with a net. A destroyer of worlds.
It's
a net.
It's a net.
That's the way. Well,
he breaks the net, and they're like, oh, what else are we going to do? I'm out of ideas.
Yeah, that's exactly that was my one and only idea.
One thing about this like ring is it's supposed to generate whatever you think of, right?
Yeah.
And it's just throughout the whole movie, they just have him generate the most ridiculous thing: nets, jets, Hot Wheel tracks. At one point,
it would have been great if like all 11 of them thought about a net, and then there's just like one guy that just like drops an atom bomb, and they're like, "Dude, what?" Like, wait, why a net? We didn't talk about this guy.
We all talked about it before we tried to conquer this guy, and we all agreed on the net. Okay, we
don't go throwing bombs around.
You need to be uniform in the Green Lantern. But I think the most ridiculous thing that he conjured up was that like an anti-aircraft gun.
Yeah.
Just to shoot the oil tanker. Why wouldn't you shoot the thing with the anti-air gun? Because apparently rockets hurt it. I don't understand that either.
Which I was baffled. I just remember the anti-aircraft gun, and I'm going, what in the blue hell am I watching?
Yeah.
And then we still had another, hour left.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, I mean, if I had the ring, the first thing I'd generate is a coked out Lindsay Lohan and have her sit on my face. That's the first thing I would do. I mean, isn't that the first thing any hot-blooded American man would do?
The first thing I would conjure up if I had the ring would be to reverse time to before Fred just made that mention of a coked out Lindsay Lohan.
No, but you just even brought a better idea. It's like reverse back time to before he got out. Escaped,
yes,
and just blow that whole goddamn planet to smithereens.
The worst part of the movie was the fact that Ryan Reynolds survived. I'll just be the one that comes out and says it.
Terrible.
I'll just be the one that comes out and says it. He makes me want to die.
I think one of the most ridiculous scenes in the whole movie was when they were having that party at the president's mansion or whatever.
Yeah,
and Well, we talked about the helicopter. Like, they're landing this helicopter in the middle of a group of people.
And Skullet.
Well, no, it's not even. I'm not even getting to that point yet. But it's just like
a soda cap bottle up into like the propeller.
Yeah, I'm not even getting to that point yet. That's where it like peaks. But like, they're landing a helicopter in the middle of all these people, and there's like no wind graphics.
No.
And it's just like, just because you put this little circle of red dots on the ground, you can't just land a helicopter there.
Yes.
There's like protocols for landing helicopters. That's why helipads are on the tops of really tall buildings.
No, but then, I mean, to like take that even further, after Skullet shot that bottle cap into the propeller.
Yeah, he shoots the tap off the bar.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the tap.
It was like fucking
tap.
Final Destination style.
Yeah, like,
I mean,
Skullet powers.
I'm sorry, if you had telekinesis, couldn't you have just bent the propeller on the helicopter? Or busted the end off of it or something?
I mean, speaking of Skullet, at this stage, he has a brain tumor about the size of a basketball.
Yes,
it's protruding out of his forehead. It is clearly noticeable, and nobody says, hey, why does that dude with the Skullet have a giant head?
Who invited the guy with the Skullet and the bulbous beluga whale head? Like,
I also love he's like, when he's talking to the girl who's like the secretary or whatever, and he's just like, oh yeah, I saw this alien, and his dad, who's like 20 feet away, is just like, what? Like, in the party of all these people talking, he's like, what's this? He's talking nonsense.
Yeah, the guy with the Skullet, the guy with the Skullet and the bulbous beluga whale head is saying he's seeing aliens. Someone's going, is Dan Aykroyd at this party? But
sponsored by Crystal Skull Vodka.
So then he shoots down this like chopper.
Yeah.
And it goes right through the party.
And nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets his head cut off. Nobody gets an arm cut off. Nobody does anything. And then Ryan Reynolds shoots a Hot Wheels track, and it flies up, and something happens.
He puts the helicopter inside of a race car, like a Formula One race car, and it makes Hot Wheels tracks all over the place.
And at that stage, I didn't know if it was the pain pills that like had me watching.
Nope, that really happened.
Or did it really happen?
You didn't imagine it.
I thought that I fully imagined that whole scene, but no, I did not.
Yes,
and
completely
I was
real.
Thoroughly disappointed that I did not imagine that.
So let's
carry on.
Let's get to the big final fight that this movie had.
Okay. Well, before the final fight, where where the Skullet finally has a head that's about that has a diameter of about 6 miles at this stage, and his Skullet hair just keeps coming out, and he's comes like wheeling his way on out, and then Ryan Reynolds and
one of the things I had with that, it was like, if he's so strong and telekinetic, why can't he just make himself float?
Or like,
why need a wheelchair? It seems like a big disadvantage.
One of those fucking hover rounds that they use in Walmart. Like, there's fat people using Walmart. He's like going around on one of them, like, and he makes it like that weird laugh, and always like,
oh yeah, that's right. When he's like, you can have the ring if you want. He's like,
so he takes the Green Lantern's love interest, and then the Green Lantern shows up. And of course, Ryan Reynolds, being the smartest damn man in the world, gives him his ring. But I guess because he's not fearless, he can't use it, or because the ring only chose Ryan Reynolds.
Because he only chose him.
Which then, to me, I would like, why would he even be able to shoot out a bowl of will energy
without the ring on?
I don't.
No. Like when Skullet shot at Ryan Reynolds, but it didn't hurt. It stopped. But I'm like, why would he even be able to do that in the first place?
But I thought Ryan Reynolds needs the ring on to have powers. If he
does.
Gives the ring to him, how can he like shoot the power back at Beluga Whalehead?
I don't know how that happened. I don't have an explanation for that.
Because it's Ryan Reynolds.
Because it's Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. You can't kill him.
So like that was our major segue into, which is another thing that Skullet could have used, a segue. That would have been a lot better than that wheelchair.
I would have upped my rating for that movie if Skullet. If it had more Skullet and he was on things like in like multiple scenes if he was on things like segways and like riding a dolphin in the one scene and like
because I would have made that at least a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, that would have been like
solely for Skullet, the worst villain I've ever seen in my entire life.
He should have just called it Skullet's Travels Around the World.
Yeah. So back to the final fight then. You'll go on for an hour if I don't stop you.
10 out of 10. Skullet's Travels. 10 out of 10.
Skullet's Travels. All right, go ahead. Final fight scene. Damn it.
Yeah,
so,
please,
okay. So, all right. Oh my god.
Skullet's riding an elephant in India.
But the only thing I can think
with
of,
Indiana Jones? And then they eat snake babies?
because I would have, because I seriously would have loved Skullet's Travels a lot more than Gulliver's Travels. Which is the most logical sequel to that book. It's Skullet's Travels.
I hope Skullet makes an appearance in the new Justice League movie and the new Batman vs Superman. He needs to make an appearance.
I'm pretty sure he's dead. He looked dead as shit in that movie when he died.
They need to bring him back. They find a way to bring him back.
They will.
Greatest villain ever.
Skullet has rejected.
But since right now Fred and I are no good, Matt, please take us.
All right.
Skullet.
So once again, there's this final battle, and it's going through a major metropolitan city, as every superhero movie, and nobody's getting hurt.
Nope, nobody dies.
And he thinks of that anti-air gun and blows up an oil tanker in his face, and that hurts it. And then he decides, well, we should probably just go into space because I can do that.
Yes.
So then they go up into space, and then he remembers something that one of them told him before about, like, if you get near a sun, its gravitational pull is so strong, so the
bigger you are,
tricks it into getting near the sun, and the bigger you are, the faster you burn.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand how that works.
I don't get that.
So he tricks it to get close to the sun, and then there's that part that you and Cody and I, we got confused about, because he spawns, like, 2 aircrafts.
Yes.
2 aircraft carriers, and, like, he's got them tethered to him. And I thought he was going to throw him at the guy.
I was so ready for these planes to shoot this tree trunk in the face.
No,
and it never happened.
They're just there to keep him from the gravitational pull.
And it's like a weird 2 minutes where they're just like staring at each other, and you don't know if like, the sun's pulling that thing in or not. And they're just like,
well, that's what, like, they're just staring at each other. I'm like, and do something.
So the sun drags in this giant tree trunk into it, and the best thing I've seen in movies for at least 2 decades happened after that, and that was Ryan Reynolds doing somersaults in space for about 5 seconds.
After he used just his punch to knock it out. All this other shit he blew up at it, like blew up in its face, rockets, oil tankers, anti-air guns.
Yes.
Multitudes of other things. A punch to the face.
It sends him flying.
Sends him flying into the sun, and he burns up.
Burns up.
And then somersaults.
We cannot discuss the somersaults enough. If it would have been 90 minutes of Skullet and the somersaults, I would have given it a 15 out of 10.
Yes.
You guys are horrible people.
I love the somersaults.
They should have ended the movie with Skullet on a Sea-Doo, like driving around in the ocean, or Skullet on a Razor scooter.
Maybe that was the after. That should have been the after credits.
That should have been the after scene.
It's just like you see a scooter, like the bottom of it, it's just like it turns sideways, and the camera pans up, and it's just there, like it comes up to his face. He's like.
The more I think about his facial expressions in the movie, the more I laugh with that fucking. Jesus Christ.
So then, basically, they go back to the main planet. They all celebrate.
And I don't remember anything that
Michael Clark Duncan's character takes credit for training him, even though he just beat his ass for 3 minutes.
Was this Michael Clark Duncan's last movie? I think it was.
Poor bastard.
Yeah, that's sad.
All right, so positives out of this movie. Skullet.
I'm up in my grade because of the conversation we just had about Skullet.
I'm really glad you guys' positives are everybody else's negatives about the movie. You're like, Skullet, great.
The positives that I'm taking out of it: Skullet.
Skullet, great.
If they would have casted Burt Reynolds instead of Ryan Reynolds, more Ryan Reynolds somersaults in space.
Oh my god!
I'm starting to up my grade for this movie right now just because of this.
I agree. I am going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh my god!
Cinematic masterpiece. Ryan Reynolds is the goddamn man.
Well, Skullet's the goddamn man. All joking aside, without Skullet, Skullet was a positive. The more I think of him, but I'm gonna go a 4 out of 10. That's my grade.
I think I agree with you. A 4 out of 10. It wasn't the worst superhero movie I ever saw, but it was still pretty goddamn terrible.
It was pretty bad.
It had a lot of plot holes, a lot of things that didn't add up, and continuity errors out the ass.
It's never going to be the worst superhero movie until we review Batman and Robin.
Oh, you just had to say it.
No, I don't think I'm not suggesting we review that.
Well, did we come up with a movie for next week?
Cody, why don't you suggest something?
Yeah, give us something, Cody. I don't know.
I can't think off the top of my head.
Can't think of anything.
My score, in all seriousness, was we should have watched Ernest Goes to Jail.
What if they had an Ernest versus Skullet?
I'm done.
All right,
take my money.
We'll leave it on a cliffhanger. We'll put it on Facebook.
Yes.
What we're going to review next week.
So if you have any suggestions, suggest it.
Yeah, because we would love to get more requests as to what you would like us to review.
And get them in by Wednesday at the latest, because I usually like to watch this thing Wednesday night when there's nothing on TV.
And there you go.
So
Wednesday at the latest, folks. So you want to tell everybody where they can find the show?
You can find us on Libsyn.com. You can find us on GrindedWord.com. You can find us on the Grindcast Grinded Word Facebook page,
yes,
which also has the Grindcast podcast.
It does.
You can find us on MiserableMovieMafia.wordpress.com. You can find us on the Miserable Movie Mafia Facebook page. You can find us on Blueberry. Can you find us on iTunes yet or no?
Yes, you're on iTunes as well.
You can find us on iTunes. And in the future, you will be able to find us on YouTube.
Yep. It
So,
won't be a straight video. It will be a still static image, but you'll be able to listen to it on YouTube if you would like.
yes, and the week that you're hearing this, that Friday, we're going to be doing a review for San Andreas. And like I said,
Oh boy, I'm really looking forward to that.
that's
one.
going to...
We gotta find this. We gotta get a movie that we're gonna like. Like, I
Yeah.
swear to God, I really hope Jurassic World does it.
Jurassic World, I think I'm going to be a firm supporter of Terminator Genesis, but we'll see.
I have my doubts. I do. I do.
All right.
Well, that's
See you
it
guys.
for us tonight, guys. As always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.